in this systemic view based on the series Another Self, Ronél and Sonja just take a look at the different characters and their journey from the difficulties they were facing in life, going through what we call a family constellation, what happens after, and how their life shapes from there forward into where they are now. So this is just a journey on each character, so it's easy to understand the series on Another Self. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you. Okay, Ronél, are we ready to talk about Leyla?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Good. She's such a life wire in this series, and yet she has her own little story that she comes in with. So because she sees what's happened to Sevgi, she's now very interested. She wants to know what this is all about.
Yes.
And what we know is that she has no intention to do this work. I mean, all she wants is big boobs.
Yes.
She is in a little bit of a space that is not quite as it seems.
Yes.
She and her husband are pulled apart by an incident that happens where the husband is taken away and they lose everything. And he's taken away. She's got nothing. She's got nowhere to go. So she ends up with Sevgi and Muko with her son. And they sort of, she has to sell everything. She is in a financially very dire straits. So the friends are there to help her, but she makes money by doing this TikTok or whatever she does on a daily basis, social media. And she's so vain. And so, but she's beautiful. She's lovely. She's really the hot person here. And that's her core. Is she says, I love my husband. He may not be perfect, but I love him. So whatever happens, I'm going to stand with him. And so she defends her relationship with her husband at all costs. And goes into this constellation expansion completely free of any expectations. And what is your experience of this?
Okay, for me, Leyla puts on this persona that everything's okay and her life is perfect when she's actually got the most stuff going on. She's very positive, feels that she's not good enough because she's always in competition with Ada. Ada looks down on her because she's the doctor and Leyla is just worried about her boobs and the superficial stuff, when she's actually the one that's the glue with these two friends. She's very optimistic. Yes, she ends up in the field, but we also see while her and Ada speaking is that she can't go near water. She's got a fear for water, but she doesn't put anything to it. It goes right over her head because she's so worried about paying school fees and her husband disappearing and all that. She knows who her husband is. She knows what he does, but she's not sure what's going on in her life. Then she ends up doing the constellation, and as it is, Ada gets asked to represent the feeling of the drowning feeling. Ada does not like doing this, but for Leyla, she starts feeling and seeing things that starts bringing back memories from her mother telling her about her mom, her gran, and all that. And in this field, it shows that there was a drowning, there was ill-gotten money, and that she then brings up her fear of water, where Zaman comes in and says to her, okay, there's a fear of water. Who drowned? Who drowned in your family? And then there's the healing sentences and the healing that happens in there.
Okay,
But Leyla is totally unexpected of what's going to go down here.
Okay, so then we see the scene going back to a time when the Greeks and the Turks were at war with one another, and her husband is taken prisoner, and she wants to follow this boat that is leaving, and she begs to be on this boat because she wants to be with her husband and her children who have already left. And she takes with her a bag of gold because she needs to take something with her to make a living wherever she's going to go. And she begs for her life. And then in the middle of the ocean, we see the scene where she's asked to pull up something, but she's actually being pushed overboard and she is drowned, or she drowns, but the bag of gold stays behind on the boat. And so the story then in the family is, yes, this great-grandmother was found and identified weeks later. So they know that she drowned. And so that's quite a sad story. But if we take it in context of the expansion field, it gives us an insight as to what happened in times of people that were before us. And because this great-grandmother's children had survived, the story continues because they are surviving members. And Leyla is like blown away about, what happened, but it makes sense to her because it's a story that's in the family history. And the homework she gets from Zaman is to light a candle for her grandmother so that the wealth that this great-grandmother had would be restored. And Leyla is so, I believe everything, and she goes and she does it. And we see where she actually releases the candles on the water for her grandmother. So, and that's a purity with which she took on this constellation. So she's just so, innocent, believes everything, a girl from the heart. And then we also see her husband coming back into her life. And there's a couple of scenes there. Maybe you want to expand on that a bit.
So her husband finds her because she's obviously an influencer. So she's not that stupid. She's quite clever. And she starts posting where she is in Dunda. And he sees it. And he can't phone her because the cops are monitoring her phone because he's wanted. And her and her son is now living with Segvi. And she hides it from everybody that she's trying to contact him. And she puts out these posts of where she is and everything. And within this holiday that she calls it, she's like, everybody, I'm on holiday. But Muka picks up that there's something else going on. And she's like, oh, are you right? Your son is telling me different stories about your husband being arrested. She tries to hide this because it's a shameful thing. So she feels guilty and she's got shame because, the husband's arrested. So she's covering his tracks as well. And she'll go to any lengths to protect this man. She takes care of the son and everything, but the Muka finds out that they actually are running away because they have nothing. They got kicked out the house. They lost everything. She puts these posts up and he does come and find her because now he wants her to sort out things and he wants to rely on her. And he even tells her to sell her clothes. or borrow money from your parents, because he does come and he hides in the village and he actually like kidnaps her almost. And they have a great reunion and they're very happy to see each other, but he uses her. He uses her for his own good, loves her and everything, but he uses her and she protects him, and he plays on that emotion. And in turn, she starts making almost creates a life for herself and finds her own worth by helping Fico with his restaurant. And within that, she finds her own power, and he starts paying her salary. And it's very important for her because now she's starting to look at herself in a different light, that she's also capable of working and earning money, and she's doing this big healing, and she's finding her own identity, which was lost. And the work that she did in the field helped her to find her own identity. And then then from there, her life starts changing drastically because she honored the ancestors.
And then there's a little scene where the son runs into the ocean and he pretends he's drowning, and she runs into the water to save him. And only after that, the son says, "You weren't scared of the water." And she realizes, wow, I'm not scared of the water anymore. So the fear of the water has been healed. And and I love the fact that you identified she's getting her own self-worth. She's finding that she is not just this frivolous blonde that everybody identifies her with. And when she actually speaks to her friends, she speaks with authority. And she's very well versed in certain subjects, and she gives her opinions, and she's really a good friend who gives really good advice.
She found her voice. She found her voice. And with all these things now suddenly happening, she's like, oh, this stuff really works. And like, I can't believe what's happening. And she speaks to the husband, and she even gets her voice towards the husband, because she starts telling him that I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. And he's like, who are you? Who you never used to stand up against me. And in that, she starts finding her own power. Until she gets the message from her mom, because he puts unrealistic expectations on her. And she's like, I can't ask my friends for money. And like, where am I going to find money? You need X amount of money to go to Switzerland. And why do you have a Switzerland account? So she finds out that he's been keeping her in the dark with a lot of stuff, and that she's been giving so much towards this relationship and not actually knowing what's going on. And in that, she finds this strength to start standing up for herself. And she has huge realizations as well.
And then she gets the information that she gets the money. From this great-grandmother. There's a land that was that she inherited, but her father gives her a warning, and her father asks her to divorce her husband. And she gets very angry with the father because he's not been in her life. And so we see for the first time the importance between parent-child relationship. Parents do want to protect their children, especially fathers. They want to protect their daughters. And we get a glimpse that the father did not really approve of Erdem, her husband. But she does what she does best, ignores everybody, and she still agrees to cash in the money and leave with Erdem on the boat where they're trying to flee. But in the meantime, she started to wisen up, as you said, and she misses getting onto the boat. But she's in the same area. So the boat gets stopped by the law. Some of them drowned, I believe. Some of them drowned.
Yeah.
But Erwin, her husband, has been saved, and he is in custody. And so she is in custody because she is an accomplice to him leaving. But because of Sefki being attorney, Sefki gets her out, and she also gets out without losing all her money.
Yeah.
And she then finally realizes that her path with the man she loves, the father of her child, cannot continue in this way.
Yeah.
And she needs to now build a life for herself and her son. And she decides to open a restaurant in her grandmother's name.
To honor her grandmother, yes.
And she asks Kiko to come and run the restaurant for her because she doesn't know how to run a restaurant. But her loyalty to her family, for her family, the loyalty to her friends is so great that she embraces Fico as a business partner. And so that's a turnaround for this girl who was so codependent on her husband, who was just believed everything her husband said, and who then is finding her own voice and realizes, I'm a good businesswoman. I'm good at getting business going. So she then ends up as a businesswoman. So I think that's really beautiful in the key, how out of her bad luck, if we want to call it, something beautiful has come about.
Yes. For me, also, the scene where she's going down to the beach with her son, and she looks at the boat, and it was like, here's a pattern that's going to repeat itself. And she chose not to get onto that boat because she was like, I'm not going to put my life and my son's life in danger because he clearly doesn't care about our safety. And she's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Yes, they do catch her, but that pattern was going to repeat itself. What happened to the grandmother?
Absolutely. And then there is the scene at Sefki's and Fico's wedding where she thinks she's pregnant.
Yes.
But she gets her wish, her boobs.
The big boobs. She's like, oh, look at my boobs. And she doesn't tell anybody, but yes, those boobs are getting big because she's most probably pregnant because the two of them used to get together and there was big sparks. But yeah, just for she coming from her timeline and what she went through, the innocence and the healing that happened for her was so huge because she had no expectations. And she just allowed the healing to happen. Absolutely. And she followed Simon's advice as well.
Yes. So we have a beautiful storyline in Sefki. I think she's the most hated and the most loved in this series. She's the most hated because she's such an irritating voice, but I think she's also the most loved because she does come through as a real friend.
Yeah, her biggest clashes are with Oda.
Her biggest clashes are with Oda, yes, because, oh, okay. Right. Anything else we want to talk about, Leyla?
I think that's pretty much it, but pretty much it. Pretty much it. But yeah, no, she's a lovely character. I enjoyed her.
Okay. All right. So now we've got another character in store for you. So let's see who that's going to be. See you just now.